Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our backyard. Today is the last day of February 29th, actually. And so it's time to tape my February garden tour. As I've mentioned in the past, I like to stand in the same vantage point, which is on my concrete small slab, patio slab, and just take a pan of the backyard before I go into specific areas. The first area I would like to do is my patio itself. At the end of February, I'm very happy with the way things are looking. In a couple of my decorative containers, I've got some blooms, snapdragons, got some phlox on this side, some white phlox, and then I have one of the wishes salvias. I think this is Love and Wishes. I'd have to look that up again. It bloomed beautifully. I cut it back. Now it's putting on some really good growth. We've had a couple of really beautiful days and it's grown pretty well, and so I'm hoping to see blooms shortly. And then in my other container, I've got 4 different plants actually. I've got a Blew My Mind evolvulus. It's not sunny right now. We've got a real cloudy day and it's cooler today. It's in the 50s. So these are maybe not going to open, but this is a true blue flower. I really enjoy this. Plus I like the cascading over. And I've got some pansies and some alyssum and Mystic Spire salvia, and I had cut this back all the way down. It was huge and it is just starting to get blooms on it. So I'm really happy to see that, and it's filling out. And then of course I mentioned in my prior video on my tropical hibiscus that I saved, and I'm going to get just a tad bit closer. I'm only going to look at one of them here, but they are leafing out really, really nicely. I'm happy to see all the new growth. And then down around here I've got some containers that I will be planting in the landscape. Haven't yet because just haven't had time. I've been doing a lot of clean out, and so I've got some salvia, some of the Wishes salvia, Ember's Wish and Wendy's Wish, and then I have Hot Lips. And I also have a Jacob Klein bee balm back here. So they're just here, sitting here, protected at the moment. Oop. Now I'm going to be going into my yard this way. So in my January freeze, I lost my mandevilla, my red mandevilla, and my Mexican flame vine. It just got too cold. I had mentioned in a prior video that our sensors got down to 19 degrees, which is unusual for us. And I say unusual thinking over time, but it has not been unusual in the last 4 years or so. But I was able to find a very beautiful, actually my neighbor picked this up for me, at Enchanted Gardens in Richmond, south of Houston, and this is a gorgeous Mexican flame vine. Let me get one of the flowers here. Butterflies love this flower, and I'm really, really happy. It's got a lot of buds on it. Really happy. Such a nice and healthy plant. Happy to get that. And I am going to try yarrow in the yard, so I do have that. In my pot, I have this really interesting Roselia, and it loves its life, it loves its spot, and this happens to be a hummingbird favorite. It's a unique flower, it has little tubes, and I have had a hummingbird here year round. She loves this flower, and she visits it every day, and it's one of the first things that she visits when it is flowering. It's not necessarily the most gorgeous plant. It does have a drooping habit, but I really like the red tubular blooms. And then I got a couple of Salvia nemorosas that I will be planting. I thought this was a really neat color. Pull the tag on it. Rose Marvel. I lost my last Salvia nemorosa in the freeze, and so I wanted to get a new one. I did have it upside down. It's supposed to go to zone 4A, but I lost mine. Maybe it was the horrible heat of our summer, but it did not survive. All right, now I'm going to come to my trellis bed, and if you'll notice my trellises, I did clean out this week all the dead vines. I will be planting cardinal climber on these trellis, and then my 5-panel trellis that I have in what I call the trellis bed, I have passion vine that come back each year. But I'm going to get closer because the flame acanthus is budding out. The flame acanthus is also a hummingbird and butterfly attractor with red tubular little flowers when it flowers, and it is just starting to leaf out. I did cut it back. My husband thinks I need to top it off a little bit more, which I certainly might. Down below, I have Gabrera daisies that are coming back. This one is going to flower. And then back in here is where my passion vine comes up. And I don't have any peeking through yet. Hopeful in the next couple of weeks or so. In my pot of passion vine, on the end, these are starting to poke through, which I'm really, really happy to see. And this will grow up and come over onto the trellis. And then you'll notice I've got some Superbena down here. These are sparkling amethyst, which are butterfly attractors with the nectar. Swallowtails really like them, and so do hummingbird moths. And last summer is when I had the idea that I want to plant them because they're more like a ground cover, and they're spillers in pots. And I haven't planted them yet because I'm not totally sold that that's what I'm going to do. But that was my plan from last year, was to plant this so it could be more like a ground cover. So I'll have low, medium, and then tall with the vines in this particular trellis bed. So now I'm looking at the corner. Here's my trellis bed. And I've got the tree bed, which I call the tree bed because we used to have a beautiful maple tree there. And then I replaced my red porterweed. I have some more plants that I'm staging. I've got a purple porterweed, a couple of salvia, different types of salvia, and then a petunia over there. And I will be planting those out in my landscape also. But what I'm going to go to now is the tree bed. On the end here, I have a Kufia. It's blooming beautifully. This type is a David Verity, which is a large type. And I like to plant this in my terracotta pot. I just like the height that's given. I like it set out a little bit, and it's on the edge here next to the bird bath. And it's just the hummingbirds have really good access, plus it's really easy to see. Next to that, my Salvia leucantha, or the Mexican bush sage, is coming back and peeking up through the ground. In here, I've got native milkweed. This is just, it was covered last year, which is good. It needs a little bit of shade, and I'm really happy to see that it is coming back. It doesn't get very large. It's aquatic milkweed, but it's coming in all along here. And then I've got a couple Gabrera daisies popping back up. And I did lose one Salvia leucantha, and so I replaced it. And all in through here is my Amistad salvia. And, sorry, this is a Monte. You can't see because it's not blooming yet. But this is a Monte salvia. And this is Amistad over here. And I did lose one, and so I did replace it. Amistad has this gorgeous dark calyx with these vibrant purple flowers. The hummingbird loves it. I do have some volunteer passion vine coming up, and I will be pulling it, but I'm probably going to root it. So if I have a problem in my trellis bed with any of it, I will have these that I'm going to be pulling from my tree bed. And these are all the Amistad salvia. Love how gorgeous this is looking. My mounding lantana is coming back, which I'm very happy to see. It has always come back for me. It's so fun this time of year to see all the new sprouts coming in. And then Greg's mist flower, I'm going to have to clean up a little bit. I don't want it to take over this bed, which I know it absolutely could. But it is a monarch and queen butterfly favorite. My coral honeysuckle that I have trellised near the house is springing forth to life with gorgeous flowers. This is a hummingbird favorite. Also, I'm going to come around the side. I've got 3 trellises, and they are just starting to get some really nice flowers. I still have lots of work left to do in this corner. I did trim up my butterfly bushes that are in pots, but I've got the back that I have to completely cut down. The Cape honeysuckle and the firebush does die above ground. It will come back, and I need to get those cut. And then I have some Salvia farinacea, which self-seeded in parts. I've got that coming up, and I just need to do general cleanup back in here. So spring cleaning is still happening, and there's a lot that needs to take place in this corner. My pots of Turk's cap are starting to come back. Happy to see the nice new growth. One of the things that I like to do is have hanging baskets. This hanging basket I have hanging from my bird feeder. It is a winter and early spring hanging basket. And I have violas, which are butterfly favorites, and also alyssum. I'm going to just go on the other side here. I have always liked how the alyssum trails down. And so I just purchased these plants in the late fall and make baskets. I'm going to go over to my baskets over here. This is another Superbena called Peachy Keen. I love the peach colored flowers. You'll notice that they're a vibrant peach when they come out, and they fade to a lighter peach as they age. So it has a nice multi-tone color to it. Can you hear the bird? It is my, oh, I scared him away. It was my red-bellied woodpecker. He comes to eat bark butter every day. So that basket I planted up with just one Superbena. I like the look of the yellow. It's up a little high. This happens to be a Nemesia. I like the airiness of it. And the yellow color. And I stuck 2 small French marigolds in front. I did this last year. They fill in pretty good, actually. And of course, the butterflies love that combination. And this was a ready-made basket I purchased. Again, the alyssum. I am not a huge fan of super bells because I typically don't do well with them, but those are super bells. And then on this side is another Superbena. It just hasn't flowered yet. And this is also white. So it was a ready-made basket that I thought I would get. I like looking out either my sliding glass door or my kitchen window, and I just like looking at the baskets that I typically hang from my tree. I have a lot of work in planting that's going to go in what I call my shade garden or my shade bed. I trimmed up my shrimp plants, and I think I'm going to have to trim them a little bit more, but they're just starting to create their flowers. I do love the shrimp plants, and I need to come in here now and do some fertilization because I did cut these back. I might need to consider cutting back a little bit more. This is my shade bed, and I like to use different levels. You'll see that I have pots. I do have pots of caladium, so they do have their tubers that will come back. But I also have planted coleus in here, and so I'm probably going to do that again. I haven't totally decided with what and the color scheme. Let me talk a little bit about these plants. I protected in the back. I protected my salvia back in the back, and I protected them with leaves, and I was rewarded. This is Salvia madrensis, or Forsythia sage. It's a unique salvia in that it blooms in the fall. Gorgeous butter yellow spikes. I've got a lot coming back, so this has me excited. And then over here I have a ground cover of Dutchman's pipevine, which is a host plant to the black swallowtail butterfly. My goal for this is hopefully it will fill in and it will be a ground cover on this whole end. And finally, I still have cleanup. This is vine, cardinal climber vine that I've not taken down yet. So I need to get that down. And this is what I call my north garden bed. In the north garden bed, my echinacea or coneflower, this is wild berry, is starting to peek through. But what's really looking good is the bronze fennel. And I have a lot of bronze fennel in this garden solely for the purpose of butterflies. And then I have some salvia coming back. It's misty. I had this one coming back, but something either broke it off, the new growth, or the wind broke it off, and I don't know if that one is going to survive. So these are like mystic spires, only they're very small. They are called misty. And over here I have a mystic spires. And then I have my 2 bush salvia. Let me get a little closer. I came through and cut back the bush salvia. You'll notice that it does get woody, but it also comes back from the ground. This salvia is called maraschino, and it has a gorgeous red flower. I also love the scent of the leaves on this salvia. So I do have lots and lots that I still need to do, but it's exciting and it's fun to be able to start. Springtime is here, even though today is cold. For us, it's in the low 50s, and we're going to have another couple of cooler days, and then the warm is going to come back, and I just have been continuing to work in the garden. I hear my little hummingbird. I don't know if she's coming across on the audio, but that clicking sound is her feeding. In any case, it's early in the spring. We're not much far past our last frost date. So there's not a whole lot going on as far as blooming in this early spring garden. But it was fun to get out here. It was fun to share. It's fun to see the things that are coming up. And I so hope you are getting ready for your gardens, whether it's seed planting or looking through seed catalogs or actually planting out in the garden or cleanup, whatever you're doing. Springtime is so exciting for what goes on. So I thank you for joining me. And I really hope that you all have a great day. And I hope to see you again soon.